So switching the vehicle class back to abstract class, so that we are not going to create the object of a vehicle at all. So we will never ever create a vehicle object, and we will never ever use a move method, because we will use a move either from car or airplane through dynamic binding. Here, then the question is, why do we have to give a move method? We will never use that. Why do we have to give that? If I comment out, then we have error. So vehicle v2, v3 move method is in error because that is, it says it's undefined. So there is another binding called static binding. So static binding is happening at compile time, and dynamic binding is happening at runtime there. So what is static binding? Static binding is when you compile the program, the name, definition of a name should be there from the class. So v2 is a vehicle class. So compiler looks for move method in vehicle class. So it's not there, we got an error. And another rule is that the name, so in static binding, the name, which is a method, should be defined in the current class. If not, it is we look for the definition from superclass, which is inherited one. So in a vehicle class, there is no superclass, so that compiler looks for method definition of a move, not there, it's an error. So that we need to give a definition of a move to avoid static binding at compile time. But it will be never ever called at runtime because vehicle is abstract. And through dynamic, only the method from car or airplane will be called. So providing a method move in a vehicle class is simply to avoid a compile time binding issue called static binding. But the implementation of a move method is meaningless, so we never ever use that. Actually, for that purpose, we have an abstract method. Abstract method is simply to provide a static binding issue, and then the definition is never ever used, so we just eliminate the definition of a method. That is called abstract method. So abstract method is to provide static binding problem solution, and then the definition is never ever used at runtime through dynamic binding. So abstract method is a solution for static binding without defining the method in detail, which is never used.